Hey, Coach, I know you won't provide any more information on Devin. Demi went out as well as Devin Carter on offense. Do you have any updates on their availability for this week?
It looks good. Both of them are okay. It's just that time of year. Sometimes guys get sore and they'll work hard to be back. We expect to have them both.
John.
Hey, Coach. John Eads with WAR Radio up in Syracuse. I'm working on a story about the number 1 jersey. So can you kind of just explain to me how that all came about, what that's all about, and then why Isaiah Moore exemplifies the traits to earn that number?
When I got to NC State, I was just looking for some things programmatically that we could make special here. Having 2 years at Southern Cal, there was some really cool traditions they had about jersey numbers and guys that got to wear them. And so, I was just thought it was an opportunity here to do something. I was trying to build a culture and a program at that time. And so it was a way to put a jersey on a guy that exemplified everything we were looking for, and not just a player, but a teammate, that did everything right on and off the field. He was a leader. He was consistent. And Isaiah earned that, now his 3rd year in that jersey. But through everything that he's done, and everything that he's overcome, and he's a dominant player and a dominant leader and an impressive human being. And so he exemplifies that. He's definitely got a legacy with it. And, that's what I ask for all our players to do. Whoever has to wear that next has a lot to live up to.
James.
Dave, I know against Florida State, you didn't need Jack to pass the ball a lot. And if he has to play this week against Syracuse, have you seen that element from him in fall camp and obviously when you were watching him at Charleston Southern?
Yeah, and I mean, Jack's had 400-yard passing games before, if you go back to his career. So he can throw the football. Our run game was playing really good, in that game. And we were 200 yards rushing. And, the way we were looking at their front and how tired they looked, I mean, it felt like we were doing the right things and matchup-wise. So, but yeah, if we're going to have to get into a game and chuck it around, we feel great about him. And MJ's going to have to be ready to go. Ben Finley's going to have to be ready to go, and everybody's on deck as we get Devin ready to play.
Alec?
Yeah, Dave, you mentioned Chris Dunn, and I think, we saw the other side of that with Florida State where they throw a pick when they were in field goal range. Just for you guys to have that consistency and that faith in him, just how much has that meant to the program and the success you guys have had over the last couple of seasons? He's
Mr. Reliable. I mean, I think people take things for granted that they have, and I don't take Chris for granted. Like it's a luxury to have somebody like that. We've all seen what happens when you don't. There's games you don't win, 1-possession games you don't win, and it makes you a complete team. When you have the ability to make field goals, when you don't get touchdowns and not have to go for it all the time on 4th down because you don't like your odds. And yeah, it's awesome. And his leadership in that room, the way that him and the specialists gel, and the way our players pull for him. I don't know if you saw that, but I mean, the number of guys that ran out on the field to congratulate him after making some of those kicks in the game, offense, defense, you name it. You don't see that everywhere. I mean, you see the guy makes a field goal somewhere and him and the holder have some goofy handshake, right? And then a couple guys pat him on the helmet and he jogs back to the net. Nobody talks to him. Like, that's not how it is here. Chris is somebody that these players love and we all pull for.
Aaron?
Yeah, Dave, I know that the offensive plan might have gotten adjusted a little bit with Devin's injury the other night, but you ran the ball really well and effectively, and part of that was by necessity, I guess. But beyond that part of having to go to it, what did you like about the way you guys ran the ball, considering it was the best performance, considering the stakes and the level of opponent that you've had on all year on the ground?
Well, I've said this from the beginning, like when you play teams that are going to play, basically they played man-to-man on our 4 receivers with 2 safeties back. They dared us to run the football, and if we couldn't run the ball in that look, we were going to get completely destroyed. I mean, it's very difficult to throw the ball the way they were defending us. And so that was something we had to do to win. And we challenged the O-line, tight ends, the backs, the wideouts. Like this may be one of those just dirty games where that's how we get it. We have to be patient. And the way we're going to get explosive runs is by the second level, you know, acting like O-linemen, going in there and, you know, run guys off, cracking safeties, finding extra work. And, you know, Thayer Thomas didn't have a catch, but he blocked his butt off the entire night, man. I mean, what a great teammate, you know, unselfish guy, you know, and Daryl Jones, Devin Carter, before he was out, was going in and cracking safeties and backers. And that's the kind of night it was. And so our guys bought into what it was going to take to win. I thought our backs really ran hard, like I said, and took advantage of the moment. And it does build confidence moving forward, you know, that you can run the ball like that.
James,
Yeah, Dave, I know last week you gave an update on Trent Penix. Do you have one similar for Tyler Baker-Williams? And also, we haven't seen Josh Pierre-Louis. Is that an injury deal as well?
You know, I hope we have Tyler this week. That was the plan. We'll find out. We haven't practiced yet, but that was the plan, to have him. So we're looking forward to that. Trent Penix is close, and he's, you know, either this game or next, but he's very close to being back. And so that's where we're at with Josh Pierre-Louis. Josh was suspended indefinitely from the team. That happened 3 weeks ago, maybe, before Texas Tech. And, you know, that's an indefinite suspension.
Thanks, Dave.
Yep.
Corey,
Dave, looking back at the last two games, obviously one of the areas where the defense has struggled has been, you know, in containing quarterbacks, with DJU and Jordan Travis having some big run plays during those games. How important is that going to be this week against Garrett Schrader, another guy that is a dual threat quarterback?
Yeah, Garrett's playing really well for them and extends plays. And, you know, as you saw the other night, you know, their quarterback got out on us a few times, and that's a huge deal. I mean, you always have somebody accountable for him, but it's not just being accountable. You got to make the play, you know, and a couple times we didn't. And so, you know, now we have an option to do that as well if we're playing without Devin. But, you know, it's 11-man football in the run game. And sometimes the runs, as you know, are just created in a pass where a guy drops back and takes off. So, yeah, we have to do a great job, you know, with their quarterback of not allowing him to get out. And, you know, if we end up in that situation, making sure we have opportunities to run ours.
Brian,
Yeah, David, don't want to ask about the specifics with Devin. Obviously, you addressed that, but is he a guy who has to practice, or given the experience that he has, is he a guy who can just play? I don't know how you judge that in your program.
Well, it's not always an option, you know. I mean, I think every player is better when they practice. I mean, even in the NFL, they're better when they practice, you know. So, yeah, we'd love that, but at the same time, we're going to get our best guys out there. If he's ready to play, we trust him.
And that's a decision you'll make. Sorry, that's a decision you'll make. The trainers will make. Devin will make. Who makes that decision?
Well, it always starts with the doctors. Yeah.
Thank you.
Tim Peeler,
Hey, Coach, hope all is well. Just wondering if you could go back to your first trip up to Syracuse, what the importance of that game was, the importance of Pharaoh McKeever's play that he made that helped turn that around, and
Yeah.
you know, the difference of where you are now.
That was my first ACC win. That was a heck of a play by Pharaoh, you know. And I think it was Halloween, if I remember right. That was the night my son was dressed up like a piece of bacon. And Connor, that was pretty awesome. He came into my press conference dressed up in a bacon suit. I still remember that. It's pretty sweet. But yeah, it's always big to get your first conference win and to do it on the road and do it with a defensive score. Momentum builder for sure. And I think that was just, you know, the first of many steps that we've taken. You know, you get one ACC win. Now the guys believe they can get more. Just like the first time we beat Florida State, you know, I mean, we could not beat them. And now our guys expect to beat them, you know, and I think it's kind of just the evolution of our program, you know, and playing well on the road, all the things that go into it. So it's a great place to play. I've always enjoyed playing up there. The noise is an issue, can be an issue. It's also a great environment. So I know our team's excited about it.
Thanks, Coach.
David. Are you muted, David?
Oh my God, it's like first day of the year. Apologies. Regardless of Devin's timetable for return, how does his history of recovery and coming back from injury and his knowledge of rehab really kind of help him during this time?
Yeah, it does. I mean, he's in a good spot mentally. He was, thankful to hear that it wasn't bad, and not that anything's good, but it could have been a lot worse. You guys saw the hit. And so I think he knows what he's got to get done. He'll be down there. He trusts the trainers that we have, and he'll be after it. And I think, what you said probably is pretty real. And when you're never been injured in your life, first time going through something that's different, he's got a lot different injury when he hurt his leg, but he's got the recall on, just the steps and what he needs to do. And not just the physical part. I think for injured players, the mental part's big, just not getting disconnected from your teammates, So I know that won't be a part of what he does. And I mean, he's going to try like heck to get ready, so I think that's the biggest thing. Is the last one was you're done for the year. This one isn't that, so he's got a lot to be motivated about in this recovery process.
James.
Dave, I wanted to ask you your thoughts on the Shaheem Battle targeting call. I don't know if you had a chance to watch it back. Just your thoughts on it and how that might impact you guys this weekend?
Yeah, it's unfortunate. We did turn it in. We used the appeal process and they confirmed. I've still not seen an angle that tells me it was, but it's not because it wasn't. I just haven't been privy to that film, I guess. It's hard when you're hitting a player that is changing elevation on a play. And that's, as you leave your feet to go tackle somebody when they're at 5 feet and then they slide or they, start falling and then you hit them in a different place. That's a challenging thing for any tackler. And so Shai's penalty, it was targeting, I guess, by the letter of the law. I do wish that there was a different way they could view some of these. There was no intent. And I think that's what the rule was put in place for, from a helmet to helmet standpoint, or a guy launching himself and trying to injure somebody. There's, that was a very challenging play to make. I mean, Shai's head was up, his eyes were up, all of those things. So that was a tough one. Always hurts when you lose a good player for half the game, and so last week we lost Pitts for half the game. Now we'll have Pitts this week and Shai's out. It's like their role reversal here. But we'll be okay depth wise, and Shai will work hard to be ready in the second half, and it is what it is.
Thanks.